that I want to leave with you when it comes to finding your purpose. And as you know, that's a big catchphrase, right? Finding your purpose. And you say, what is that? When do I find my purpose? Will it hit me? Will I know what it is? And I've come to realize that finding your purpose is actually your form of service. Mm-hmm. That whatever you do, when you realize that you are serving something other than yourself, then you are walking in your purpose. Mm-hmm. Oftentimes your profession will lead you to do that, right? Your passions or things that you like to do will afford you that ability to serve others. And this is how you know when you're serving. We talk about gifts and we talk about talents, right? And Rita talked about gifts and talents. One thing I want you to know is that, everyone here has a very distinctive gift and talent. It doesn't matter if this event is replicated 5 times over. It can never be done the way that you do it. Mm-hmm. Because one, there is nobody else on this planet like you. So that's one thing, even if you had a twin, they can never be you. So I want you to understand that I am unique, I am distinctive, I am special because there's absolutely nobody with the same DNA as me. So therefore, the way I think, the way I talk, the way I put together an event, my vision will always be number one. It can never be replicated. And with that, purpose is the gifts and talents and how you use that as a way to provide impact or service to someone else. Mm-hmm. So if you know that you are gifted in singing or doing hair or solving problems or putting a smile on someone's face or volunteering, you'll realize that everything that you do doesn't actually involve you. That it involves someone else who is benefiting off of that talent, gift, or skill that you have. That is walking in your purpose, right? It's almost like the rent that you pay to live on this world. What impact are you making? What difference are you making, right? How are you setting yourself apart to see that you are touching people with what has been destined and ordained with inside of you? So that's why you never compare yourself to no one else, because no one can be you. It's as simple as that. No one can ever be you. So nobody is better than you, and you are not better than the next person. You are you, one of one. And that's really what it is. And the second thing is what we call authenticity. Authenticity is walking in the spirit of who you are. You can't never really walk in your purpose if you don't know who you are. So there's a moment in time as you continue to grow and get older and in this journey of life where you're going to sit down and you're going to question, who am I? And nobody really can answer that for you. Who am I? What do I like? What do I dislike? Where do I see myself? What is the vision that I have of my life? What is true to me? Because what happens is that we often chase the dreams and the visions of other people. We often try to replicate the talents and the skills and the gifts of other people. When I told you that you are one of one, meaning that your gift and your talent is supreme. Right? It's very distinctive to who you are. So even if I hired a Kimberly, right? It doesn't matter if 10 Kimberlys come, they will never be the same person. So I want you to understand that when you're walking in purpose so that you don't mistakenly try to replicate someone else's purpose. Because your purpose is extremely important. So authenticity, what is it that is true to me? What is my gift? What is my calling? What is my talent, right? I want you to focus and kind of sit down and think to yourself, what is it that I'm good at? What is it that I love? Even though it's maybe different than my school, even though it may be different than my education, and that is perfectly fine if your passion doesn't align with what you study, right? And I tell people that you don't have to be a one-track individual. We are all multifaceted individuals, right? We love different things. We are human beings filled with different beliefs and wants and desires, and therefore that should be reflected in your life. So it would be no surprise that you are an engineer but have a makeup line. It should be no surprise that you are a medical doctor, right? But have your own nonprofit or want to start your own restaurant. It should be no surprise that the areas in which you love are very different from each other. Because again, we are not one-track individuals. So don't pigeonhole yourself. So whenever you have a vision or something that you see of yourself that doesn't necessarily align in that one-track line, like if I'm going to school for medicine, right? Everything has to be medicine, and that's all I should focus on. Life doesn't work like that, right? Jesus wasn't he many things, right? He was a carpenter. He saved people. He healed people. I mean, he turned water to wine. He had a lot of different talents, and he had a lot of different skills, right? Right? So if we're really gonna model ourselves after the representation of God and who He is, that means that we should be multifaceted individuals. Right. That means that we should tap into all of the different gifts and talents that we have instead of holding ourselves back. And one thing that often, I think everyone here is of African descent, or parents are from another country, or some way, somehow, majority of you here, the culture that we also grew up into also forces us to be a one-track individual, right? Your parents may have a vision of who you're supposed to be, a lawyer, a doctor, engineer, whatever it may be. And so you model your life thinking, well, that's all that I can be, right? Or at least let me fulfill that area, and then later on in life, I'll focus on what I want to focus on. But the interesting thing about it is that what happens if your greatest success actually doesn't come from your education? Mm-hmm. Right? What happens if your greatest impact doesn't come from the university? We didn't say don't get the degrees, right? Because I'm all for education. But I'm also all for people blossoming and fulfilling their talents and fulfilling their gifts. I remember having a student, and he told me that, he's taking photography classes, and he was a political science student. And I said, let me see your pictures. And I was looking at his pictures. I said, wow, you are really, really talented. He said, yeah, it's just a hobby. It's nothing like, really serious. My parents want me to do X, Y, and Z. And I said, look, you can still get your degree. That doesn't mean you have to throw the other thing away, right? And what I realized is that when we walk in purpose, we are embracing all the gifts and talents that we have and using them to inspire and empower people to do the same. So we not only are we sort of liberating ourselves from self-confining ourselves, we're giving other people the permission to also do the same. We're now seeing so many young people who are extremely educated, but extremely talented, extremely innovative, who are setting up businesses, organizations, that are really successful, all because they said, you know what? I'm not just, like you said, gonna live this life and that's it. Work a 9 to 5 and that's just my career. We are all made to be more. Right? And the third one's perseverance. And one thing I would tell you is that, look, there's one thing to know that you have a gift and a talent. There's one thing to be intelligent. But when the winds of life do blow, right, and when life does get difficult, so what do? Do you sit back and say, okay, that's it? Let me just let the wind just blow me away? Like, you have to anchor yourself in something that's much bigger than who you are, right? And that's not in people too, because people also are human, and they of course are susceptible to human error. So of course they can fail you, they can disappoint you, they can mislead you, right? So what is it that you anchor yourself in that is much, much bigger than who you are, right? Is it love? Is it faith, right? Is it the word of God? You need to find what that is, because when you walk in purpose, sometimes it can leave you broke, sometimes it can leave you in pain, sometimes it can leave you disappointed, sometimes it can leave you behind where you think you're supposed to be ahead. Walking in purpose does not mean that everything will be a sunny day. It does not mean that everything is going to go right? There are going to be a lot of different affliction, a lot of different, that's just what life is, right? We never said the road would be easy. We did say it would be worthwhile, though. And I want you to sort of understand that, because you're going to get through many phases of your life where you're going to say, what else should I be doing? What else can I do? And always push yourself. You can always do and be more. And as you are all on your journey, and I'm probably going to have to throw this, I know this is on walking in your purpose, but I'm not sure if many of you here are single or married. How many people here are single? Raise your hand. Okay. Dating? Okay. Married? Okay. So majority of you here are single, and I want to talk about this because I think it's extremely important that when you are walking in your purpose, right, you have to be very vigilant of everything. Yes. And when I say vigilant, I mean from the friends that you keep, from the mentors that you choose, from who you get your advice from, and also who you date. There's many people that have been derailed from their walk in purpose because of who they choose to align themselves with, whether it be friendship or whether it be in dating. And we don't have this conversation enough with young women, especially young women who are growing up in African households, about the importance of who they date, right? It's not that you just come and bring a man home and say, Daddy, Mommy, this is the person for me. No, you have to be vigilant, because I was telling you, I met my husband when I was 17 years old. I graduated high school, I was 17 years old. But the thing about it is that I've always been determined that I will never compromise my ambition for anyone else.
Amen. Hallelujah.
And I don't say not compromise, because there's still a level of respect. But it's about that when you were born, right? God gave you an assignment. He gave you a vision that only you have. It doesn't matter what stage you are in life. That vision must be accomplished, right? He will send people, or life sends people your way that may throw you off track. But it's also up to you to be discerning enough to say, who am I going to pick by my side to help me as I follow and accomplish this vision that I've had for myself as a young girl, okay? So I think it's extremely important that in order for you to not only walk in your purpose, you have to choose the right people to come along with you, okay? Some people may come and some people may leave, but I don't want you to undo yourself by your own hands, right? I don't want you to undo yourself by your own hands. So be vigilant. Always look for the person who's going to accentuate you, because one, nobody completes anybody. You are already whole. You are already a whole human being. So they only come to accentuate who you are. It's almost like a beautiful cake, right? And somebody adds sprinkles on top. The sprinkles doesn't change the flavor of the cake. The cake is still delicious even without the sprinkles. The sprinkles just accentuates it. You understand? So when you're dating, find someone who will accentuate you, who will support your vision, who you say, I want to be the next president. And he says, when? How can I help you campaign, right? Although he gives you the dose of reality, but at the same time, he's there to help you also fly. And this is what we call a helpmate, a destiny mate, right? Because walking in purpose, to me, is a divine design. Right? I'm a Christian, so everything kind of goes through the word. So that's the way I kind of see things. So for me, it's a divine design. So everyone that comes in your life and out of your life is by divine design. When we don't realize things are by divine design, we start to kind of rely on our own thinking or belief, and start to kind of trust our own instincts, which we should, but we don't know everything, right? So that's why it's important for you to have something that you're anchored in, something to guide you, something where you pray, right? That's going to kind of show you the way. And I think in every step of my life, even when I was a young girl, I've always had a very strong relationship with God. And I would tell you that a lot of the things for me was, one, yes, being serious, one, being determined, but a lot of it is also the grace of God, right? There's certain gifts that also God gives you. And I know that he's given me the grace. And the only thing ever since I was a little girl that I've only prayed for was wisdom. There was nothing in life that I wanted other than wisdom. Until this day, that's the only desire that I have. Because I've always believed that with wisdom, I would be able to do everything. If you give me money, I would know how to spend it and keep it. If you gave me a job, I would know how to perform or outperform and do what I have to do, right? If you put me in school, I would know which track to take. If you put me in the dating world, I would know which one is husband material. That is why I asked for wisdom, right? I really didn't ask for anything else. And I think that is what God has blessed me with, because at a young age, I think I've always been an old soul. So I've always been like 17 on 40 or 30, and I've accepted that I'm an old soul. But that's very much okay. But regardless, that's one thing I want to leave you. Please be very conscious of who you spend your time with, what energy you allow into your space. Your gifts and talents are made to impact the world. Don't let anyone deter you from how you create your own impact, right? Don't let anyone talk you out of how you express those gifts and talents that you have, right? Don't let anyone diminish or belittle the gifts and the talents that you have. And I tell you, they're all one of one. Nobody is like you. That is literally your superpower, right? No one looks like you, no one acts like you, no one behaves like you. So therefore, everyone brings something so special and unique to the table. So don't be concerned about anyone else's walk and their purpose. Only be concerned with yours, because remember, we're all here on assignment. Remember, we are all here on an assignment. And at the end of the day, I want you to ask yourselves, did I complete that assignment? Am I walking in the assignment that has been destined for my life? And you know what? How you know what that assignment is? You'll have visions of who you're supposed to be. Like you'll daydream, like, oh, I'm gonna be this multi-millionaire, I'm gonna own this apartment right here, I'm gonna build this corporation, I'm gonna start. There'll be visions that you'll have throughout your life, and those visions are like literally pictures of how you see yourself, right? Like, and what you desire and what you want for yourself. That's the big picture. Oh, that big picture for me has been my GPS in life. Like I've had that picture, like whatever it may be. Like, okay, if I was a mother, this is how I probably would mother. Although life, changes things, but that picture was my GPS. Nobody else's picture for my life, right? So I want you to sit down and think of the picture of your future. All right. So first thing was.
That's all right. It was all good.
Impact.
Right, exactly. No, professor.
Service.
No.
Okay, so your purpose is your service. Purpose is your service. You will realize that your talents and gifts serve other people. That's when you know you're walking in your purpose. Second is authenticity.
Yes.
Do things that are true to who you are, true to what you like, not what anyone else is doing. You'll know what you like. Follow that. That's how you be successful. And the third is perseverance. That whenever life or the winds of life blow, you will be anchored in something much bigger than yourself, so you don't stay off track. And the fourth one that I added and slipped in here is to be very conscious of the people you have around you, whether your friends and those who maybe become your life partner in the future. Because this is the whole. These are different stages of life as a woman, right? When some of you may become mothers, wives, all of these things that may be your choices, right? Please be conscious of these things. They all affect your walk of purpose, okay? And there's one thing that I always do, like with young women before we leave, and there's a quote that I love so much. It's by Marianne Williamson. It's called Our Deepest Fear. And out of that, Our Deepest Fear, she has like 3 lines. So I want everybody to stand up, stand up, stand up, stand up. Stand up, stand up, stand up. Come on, stretch, stretch, stretch. So in that quote, she says, and I want you to say after me, right? Who am I?
Who am I?
To be. Talented. Intelligent. And fabulous. Actually. Who am I not to be? My playing small. Does not serve.
Does not serve.
So I'm going to stop it there. So those are like the 2 lines that mean so much to me, and it should be a reminder to you that never play small. Your walk of purpose must be bold, and it must be loud, and it must be unapologetic. Okay? So be fabulous, be intelligent, be all the greatest things that you think of yourself to be, and don't apologize for it. And don't dim your light for anyone, right? Let your light shine bright so that it can be a torchlight for other people. Yes. All right. So thank you.